Dude,
I thought we were gonna have like a little warm up.
Well, we are. This is the warm up, but I don't want to like leave anything out.
I gotta do my stretches.
If we have some gold nuggets of like footage here of like Daniel stretching.
No, what's gonna be funny is like when Daniel starts talking and he's muted and it's just like and we have to be like, hey Daniel, I think
come on back to us.
Wes just mutes me every time I talk.
It's like let's just
we'll take that out.
Wow.
So Eric, I want to ask you something. I'll put you on the spot.
Oh boy.
So I got a text from you earlier this morning, and it reads, "I liked your fall playlist," and that made me happy because I made Eric 2 playlists, Wesley.
Okay. And
he liked one of them, but immediately my mind went to, oh, he hated the other one I made.
Oh, okay. There's more to this story.
Okay.
First, the backstory is that Daniel made a playlist for me like 5 years ago that I hated. I know like a couple of songs.
He hated it. I stayed up all night working on it because I was like, Eric Dyer's the coolest guy. I got to make sure this is a cool playlist.
Dude, you tried too hard. You flew too close to the sun.
Way too hard.
And then he texts back.
And he's like, I'm going to make you a new playlist. And I was like, okay, great. And he sent them to me. He two-wayed me and sent them to his other friend too.
Joe Crawl.
Oh, Joe Crawl.
Joe
I didn't
Crawl.
know who it was.
Yeah.
Well, I have more respect for that now. But no, I was listening. I liked them both, actually. But you said that you thought the summer playlist sucked. But I listened to the summer playlist, and I liked it as well. But I didn't want to be like, well, I actually liked it. And then you'd be like, wait, I thought it sucked. So then now you're going to think that everything that you don't like, I like.
I was so happy to get a text from you that said I liked it, though, because I was like, all my hard work just like paid off.
Yes.
I actually had been listening to both of them a lot.
Nice.
There you go.
This makes me happy.
Yeah.
This just stop the show. I'm happy.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to hear.
That's like just years in the making, that the careful craftsmanship, you had to fine tune it so much. And now you're like, you're 2 for 3 now, unless like.
Yeah. It was testing Shay and I's relationship because I was like, I got to make a good one. Don't talk to me, Shay. I got to focus.
Here's the real question though, Eric. How much you like the summer playlist outweigh how much you hated the first playlist? Or is it like still
I think I've come around to some of the songs on the old playlist.
Oh dang.
What's on there? I don't remember anything.
I think there was I remember there being like some AC/DC, some Cranberries,
sounds good to me.
Other
I don't know what there is to hate about this so far.
Some other random stuff.
Sounds about right.
Daniel famously doesn't hate music. He just grows like the collection of like more music he likes. It's like, yes.
It's true. I'll hear 30 seconds of a song on Spotify and I'll just favorite the whole album. I'm like, I love it. It's great.
Oh, that explains so much.
Well, I think it's about that time, Daniel.
Is it?
I think it's about that time.
Did you want to introduce our guest?
I'll introduce a guest. You introduce the show.
Okay. Well, you can see our faces this time. What do you think?
Yes, they can.
What do you think? Rate us on a scale of 1 to 10.
And for everybody listening audio, I'm sorry, you can't. But if you want to, you can look us all up on social media.
Well, then you just stop whatever they're doing and get on to whatever platform has the video. And listen to the rest of the podcast on the video.
Rate our attractiveness on a scale of 1 to 10 bagels.
Oh, well, there's a baker's dozen in the lobby right now.
And he's right down there.
I would say he's to the left.
Oh, he's down for my screen.
Oh, okay.
Welcome to Bagel Boys Show. My name is Daniel.
No, I'm not Daniel.
He's not. This is Wesley. We're talking about World War Z today. It's a fantastic movie? Question mark.
It's the next installment on the Pitt List, Daniel.
Yeah, it's the next movie on the Pitt List. This is number 9.
Yeah.
Number 9. We're getting near the end, folks.
Home stretch. Here we go.
Home stretch. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, because at this point, if they haven't,
yeah,
like you're 9 episodes in, it's probably not going to change much.
Yeah, we're giving our best shot. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a special episode today because, like Daniel said, you can see our faces. We've entered the visual side of things now, but not always. I want to make that very clear. This is an experiment. This is not a for sure thing, but it's also a special episode because of the guest today. We have a fantastic guest today.
Most requested guest, fan mail after fan mail.
He has the strength of 12 men, the intellect and wisdom of 100. He swam across the Atlantic Ocean just for fun, just to get a workout in. He's one of my oldest and best friends, ladies and gentlemen. It's Eric Dyer. Welcome to the Bagel Boys Show, Eric. Yes.
Well, you forgot to mention one of my feats. I've listened to every single Bagel Boys podcast.
5 times each. That's what I've heard.
Yes.
He's putting his hat in the ring, if you will, for the number one fan. He's
waiting for
running around that ring. He's dancing all over it.
I thought this was an interview for the the new co-host position.
Well, dude, I was saying this to Daniel earlier, like what bit I could do to introduce Derek, and I was like, what if I said something like he goes into job interviews and he walks away like with the company, and like they just give it to him. They don't even hire him.
Yeah.
Like, here you go. You run our business now.
He could be the CEO of Bagel Boys Production LLC. That's a company, right?
Yeah, we're just handing this show over to you.
No,
there you
Daniel,
go.
I am already the CEO.
Oh.
There's a merger about 2 weeks
ago. Look at me. I'm the captain now.
You didn't get the
Oh, is there going to be a Tom Hanks miniseries?
Dude.
There should be. Absolutely, there should be.
Change over now. Everyone switch to their Tom Hanks.
Actually, I'm doing a Tom Hanks video today.
Yeah, maybe one day.
The hanky panky list? I don't know. I'm spitballing here.
Well, let's get the ball rolling and spitball rolling over to the Pitster.
The Bradverse?
The Bradverse, the world of Brad, because that's what we're talking about again today. We're talking about World War Z. It's a part of the Pitt List. It's part of the Bagel Boy Show, our actor series. So, like Daniel said, we're moving right along. It's episode 9. We've been with Brad for a long time now. We've gotten to know him. He's become a good friend, much like how we're all friends. He's right there with us in spirit.
He is. I was just on the phone with him.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Not that great. Did you hear, Brad fact, he's in a relationship with this German model, and it's like an open marriage situation.
That sounds...
I read up about that.
Yeah,
I did.
I don't know how credible TMZ is, though, Daniel. So
the most credible.
Check that.
I get all of my information from TMZ.
Well, guys, let's see if we can keep these Brad facts like out there, because we do have a pretty big pit stop to go through this week.
We do.
Last we left off our friend Brad, he was playing Moneyball with a baseball team in Oakland, and so since then he's had a few things. He had a smaller role in Happy Feet 2. It's one of the voices.
I didn't know that.
There you go.
I didn't either.
Then
that factoid slipped right past me.
Right, a little penguin slide out of the Eric radar.
There you go.
He was in Killing Them Softly, which is like a kind of action thriller.
Don't watch that one. I watched that because I was like, maybe we'll do this for the Pit List. Oof, I didn't care for that movie one bit. No.
And then there was Touch of Evil as well, which I think is a short film. I think it was a short film. I don't even know if that was actually like anything worth of note, but it's in there. It's listed, so he's there. It's like 12 minutes long, but Mainly just Killing Them Softly was the other one, the big one, and Happy Feet. But now we're here. We're back to 2013. Back what feels like years ago when zombies were all the rage. Just in case anyone didn't know what the Z in World War Z stood for, it stands for zombies.
I thought it was zebras, and boy, was I thrown for a loop.
No, that's We Bought a Zoo.
That's a Matt Damon movie.
Does he play a zebra in We Bought a Zoo? I didn't see
Brad?
it. Yeah.
He plays the zebra and We Bought a Zoo.
Yeah.
We messed up the pit stop. Eric, what was your like memory of like the zombie craze? Like what's your affiliation with that or memory of that? Because that was like the biggest thing for I want to say like 4 to 5 years.
I would say I was pretty into it. I think it was so new at the time. I think now everyone's like, oh yeah, like we've seen that before. At the time though, I think everyone was kind of thinking like, man, what if that happened? And I remember, so I was 17 when this movie came out, and I remember watching it. And wait, what, Daniel? He's saying?
No, I was doing that math in my head. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's hard. Math is hard.
I love the movie. It was really exciting, but I think that I definitely was like into the zombie thing, but I definitely was kind of like, okay, what would I do in that situation? And was kind of thinking about, what I think everyone was wondering, okay, what if a zombie apocalypse happens? Like, who are they going to call? Yeah. Who are they going to be their right-hand people to conquer the...
That was like the big social media like list thing. It's like, oh, tag these people. Who's like the first one to die? Who's the one who starts killing humans first? Yeah. All those things. Yeah. I don't know who would be the first who would make it out. Like who'd be the first to die
of the three of us?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gone immediately. I'm dead with it. Look at me. You think this guy's gonna make it to the zombie apocalypse?
I guess that's the biggest difference. If it's zombies, like because the biggest thing most people probably know about when they think of zombies is The Walking Dead. That was like huge in this time frame, and so. Yep. Yeah, they were cashing in hard on the zombie craze back in 2013, but that show went on. It's still going on, crazy enough. It's kind of dipped a bit, but back then, like you said, Eric, it's probably like the biggest thing. There was also, I'm trying to think of the other ones. There was Warm Bodies,
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend was a big one around that time. Big one. Yep.
Shaun of the Dead.
That was a little earlier, but yeah, was like 04. But no, still like early 2000s to. I mean, I want to say it probably died off like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a big, big deal.
For me, I was a little late into The Walking Dead. I binged it once it came to Netflix, and Shay and I watched like for 5 seasons. But I've always been just okay with the zombies. It's not something I ever am too excited about. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Walking Dead's gone for way too long. Way too long. It should have stopped 4 seasons ago. But Shaun of the Dead's probably my favorite zombie movie, if I'm being honest.
The biggest thing about this movie in particular, and because it was a book first, the book was really popular and got made into a movie, but it's right there in the title of The Walking Dead. They walk everywhere. This movie, I remember distinctly seeing the trailer. I'm like, these zombies run. This is serious.
Oh, they're speedy boys.
Yeah, they like to
running.
Get a jog in.
Well, and that's always the question is like when there's zombies, it's like how fast are they? Because in The Walking Dead, like for the most part, they're pretty slow, but there are like a few that are faster.
They're a little sneaky sometimes.
They can be a little sneaky, surprise, like a lot of jumps.
A lot of blood gargling. They just always like.
But this one, I remember the running as well. And then the question is always how is like the disease or whatever transmitted and how fast is that? Because in The Walking Dead, it was like pretty immediate, but also I felt like it depended on how long, depending on the person. Like, but this is like in World War Z, it's very specific on the seconds that it comes down to.
Yeah, that's something I thought they did really well, is capitalizing on that, because a lot of the time it's shrouded in mystery, and that can work, like how the dynamics of the disease spread and like what exactly it does. This one, kind of lets you know a lot of what they're dealing with and how to fix it all in one movie, which is different from the book. But again, as I've said before with book iterations, this is not a book podcast. It's a movie podcast. So
it's a movie podcast.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Burn all the books. Screw them. There should be no. That sounded bad. Yeah.
No, one more time. What was that?
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Right,
Don't worry about it. I'll distract you guys.
Oh.
Different picture of Brad for you guys to look at. Yeah. All right. So do we want to do the tomato game real quick?
Yeah, we absolutely
tomato game.
can.
The tomato meter.
The tomato meter.
Tomato
guys.
meter.
Are you guys excited? I'm excited. I'm ready for Eric to test his knowledge up against Daniel. I want to clear some air. There was an accusation last episode about me cheating. I just want to say those accusations were completely false. Anyone who looks
he does protest too much.
I just want to say that the integrity of the host should never come into question. That being said, I have a feeling like Daniel's got another tab open right now. I've got I don't know. It might just be the vibe. It might be the tropical shirt he's wearing. It feels like a con man Daniel this episode.
Yeah, he's quickly looking at the clip notes of the movie as we talk.
Okay, 78-82. Okay, let's go.
Okay, so here we go. Consensus time.
Okay.
It's uneven and diverges from the source book, okay. But World War Z still brings smart, fast-moving thrills and a solid performance from Brad Pitt to the zombie genre. Fast-moving thrills, 1,000%. Both scores are fresh. So we'll go critics, the tomato meter first off of that consensus. So since Eric is the guest, he will guess second.
Oh, okay. I leaned back in my chair thinking you were going to say he was going to go first, and then you said second. It's a strong 75.
Okay.
I'm going to go with 78, and I only say that because I think that there was a lot of hype around it before the movie launched. And I think after, I think the critics were like, oh, it didn't line up with the book. But that I don't know why the critics always called it that, because the movie is never as good as the book. So
no.
Yeah, so I don't know why you would think that, but
that's not true. But okay,
I'm ready to hear.
I'd love to hear that fight between you two. So 78, and what'd you say, Daniel?
75.
73 is what you said. I'm pretty sure.
75. I said 75. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Either way, it's a 66. So.
Oh, what was that you were saying, Eric? Like I was any closer. I don't know.
You're slightly closer.
I know.
By hair.
Well, I mean, Wes didn't even preface it if it was fresh or not, so we didn't even get a hint on it.
I definitely did.
You did?
Eric's just calling us out. Eric's like putting us on the back burner. Like I'm feeling a little heat from our guests today.
I'm actually conducting the interview.
I'm sweating. I gotta watch what I say. Eric's on this.
Okay, so okay.
Right, so both scores are fresh. Audience score is higher than a 66 from the critics.
Does Daniel go first again?
Yes, he does.
Okay. 73.
I'm going to give it a 80.
It's a 72.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Way off. Okay.
I'm honestly surprised both are fresh because I don't feel like I heard a lot of people talking about this movie for very long. Like it made a ton of money and it was pretty popular, but right after, like fast forward probably the next couple of years, I never heard anybody talking about World War Z, so I'm a little surprised.
So here's my question. Is the tomato meter based off of like 2020 data that they've surveyed the whole time, or is it based off of when the movie came out?
It's based off of actual tomatoes.
Most of the time, the critic score is based when it came out for the most part, except for really old movies. The user ratings can be, if there's a surge in popularity for a thing. Yeah. This one, though, only has like 300,000 user ratings. So I want to say that's probably about what it was when it came out. And then there's under 300 critic reviews. So that's about standard numbers. But the unstandard numbers were what you guys were just talking about. The money this movie made was kind of bonkers. One thing I do want to bring up before we get into the actual numbers of the money was this is Brad Pitt's production company, Plan B. He's led up a few different movies and is got his hand in a few. Like Moneyball was one of them. I think Tree of Life, we talked about that one briefly on the last episode. There's a few others, but this was one of theirs. And this one in particular was kind of like they had more of their hand and more control in that. And it was one of the bigger budget movies that production company had dealt with in the past. Weirdly, they had a bidding war for the script between Brad Pitt's production company and Leonardo DiCaprio's production company. I always thought that's kind of funny. Like these two friends are like, oh, we're going to buy this, off of each other, basically.
Cliff Booth versus Rick Dalton. So if DiCaprio would have won, would he have starred in the movie?
Maybe. I don't know. Brad has gone on record saying he wanted to make this movie that his sons could watch before they turned 18. So it was a movie for his kids, passion project, if you will.
That's a zombie movie made for his kids.
Yeah.
Passion project for Brad Pitt's kids featuring Leonardo DiCaprio.
That'd be something. The crazy thing about the budget and how much it made was the budget was like originally, I think 140 some odd million, and then it ballooned up to like 190 million because there was a bunch of reshoots. There's like a scene at the end where it's kind of like a montage ending scene, and there's flashes of this snowy fight in Russia. Totally cut out of the movie. It was supposed to be this big action set piece, and they felt like it didn't really fit. They felt like he was too much of a warrior hero.
Yeah.
There were confiscated fake weapons at one point.
I read that. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, tell us about that, Eric.
Budapest.
Yeah.
So I guess the prop people didn't take them through customs correctly, and so they ended up being seized by the Budapest or the customs agents or government of that country. Really? And in Hungary, and then they took them all, and I guess Brad was pretty ticked off about it. It's something said he was furious or something.
Yeah. Oh, was he smashing up stereos like he was a Moneyball?
I think so.
Throwing tables.
He hates losing, guys.
More than he likes winning.
Well, did you know why they did it, Eric? Like what the weird reason was?
Well, they claimed that they were props that could be used as real guns. So I'm like, okay, either they're real guns or they're not. There's no in between there.
So what I heard was, and it's so funny that this is even a thing. What I heard was they were prop guns that could be re-engineered and reversed, and the safety equipment could be taken out and be used as an actual weapon is what I researched. So like you just said, either they were fake and you couldn't do that, or they're shipping these weapons that are really dangerous. That could just be pull this pin out and now it's real.
A little extra cash on the side of this production shoot.
Yeah. They also, one of the other things they did was the AI and I guess production elements for special effects kind of created this new thing for the movie. So that was another thing that kind of ballooned the budget. But the movie made its money back a lot. It grossed over 200 million just here in the US, and then I believe a lot more over worldwide. I'm going to find the exact number here really quick.
Yeah, I saw 540 million overall. That could include DVD sales and other things like that, but
it made a lot of money for something that was
that's crazy to me.
Kind of
that this movie made that much money.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Oh,
the
well,
thing.
I have a factoid for you. So this movie came out in 2013. It was the 13th biggest grossing film. Do you guys know what the top 3 movies of 2013 were?
Ooh, I love it. Top 3
franchise movies.
Yes.
I'm taking this seriously, so my hands are up. Like audio listeners will know I'm not typing, but
you got me.
You got me. 2013.
2 were animated.
Oh, I love it even more.
Was it Pixar?
I think.
No, Frozen. Frozen is one of them. Yeah, Frozen.
Yes, Frozen was the number 1.
Okay. Yeah, of course it's Frozen. What was
Frozen came out that long ago?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Where have I been?
Iron Man 3.
Yep. Dang.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. 2013. What's number 3?
I don't know. I'm terrible at this.
Another animated movie, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
How to Train Your Dragon? One of those?
No.
It's going to be Despicable Me something, yeah?
Yeah.
Despicable Me 2?
Yes.
Dude, let's go.
Dang.
The superior Despicable Me. It's a great movie. It's a good movie. You know what?
That is I'll go on record. That is a good movie.
Thank you.
2?
Yeah. Kristen Wiig. Automatically better.
Okay, well, I think
Sorry.
3 has Kristen Wiig as well, right?
Yeah, but it also has that weird bubblegum chewing bad guys dance and stuff. I didn't care for that movie.
I didn't see it.
Well, I did opening night. So let's talk about we kind of talked about our thoughts about the zombie genre in general, but how about like our first impressions of this movie in general?
Yeah.
Eric, take it away.
Okay. So like I said, when I the first time I watched this movie, I was 17. I watched it at a friend's house who lived out in the country. And I remember driving home that night and being really freaked out, like looking into the woods. I felt like there were zombies everywhere. So I think on that level, I think it was a really good movie just because it definitely has the thrill, excitement, and gives you a little bit of a scare. Maybe the first time you watch it. Watching it the second time around, like later on in life, it didn't have the same appeal, I would say. But overall, I think it's funny looking back because it seems kind of like a fun, like wholesome zombie movie, if you will. I think after
it's very safe.
Yes, very safe after watching like other zombie related movies. But yeah, I liked it overall. I don't, we'll get into where it ranks up, but yeah, that's my spin on it.
I saw this movie one night with my dad, and I'm pretty sure I forgot about it completely the next day.
Oof.
To me, it was just like, I don't know. I think this movie starts off, I kind of have the same opinion of the movie as I did then as I do now. So, spoiler alert. I feel like this movie takes off real well in that first 20 minutes. Like, Brad Pitt's taking care of his family. Dad Pitt, he's here for survival. Back at it again. I'm ready. Then he goes on this like globe-trotting mission, where he's going to all these different countries and seeing some sights. I'm like, what are we doing? So I don't know. Me and my dad were both like, all right, we just got to watch something else afterwards. And
I remember, like I said, watching the trailer, I was really pumped up. But being about the same age as Eric, I was probably 17.
Mm-hmm.
I know I saw it in like the dollar theater. Like it was not I was not a rich boy or anything. I was like, this is a dollar theater movie. And I remember thinking like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. I liked the different things, and I guess sequences with the zombies were like my favorite part of the movie, which I think that's probably a good thing. Like if you're making a zombie movie, you want the zombie parts to be the better parts in the movie, and I think they definitely are. So I remember thinking that, and it was one of those things where I was just like, that was kind of it. I was like, oh yeah, World War Z, good movie. And then I remember, for whatever reason, watching it again at home, and there was something that just like switched, and I was like, I don't know if I like this at all. And it's a very particular thing. It was just for the time. I won't say I'll get into how I feel about it now on rewatch, but back then I remember renting it and was like, there was a very big pet peeve of mine, and we'll get to it. For whatever reason, I was like, no, thank you. And I just disregarded the whole movie. But yeah, overall first impression thoughts, I would have given it a thumbs up for sure. Mark Forster directed the movie. He's done a few other things, but nothing as, I want to say nothing as like large scale as World War Z at the time. That was.
What else did he do?
The other things he did Christopher Robin is his most recent one, I believe.
Good movie.
Which is the Ewan
made
McGregor,
me cry.
Winnie the Pooh movie. Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a part in there where Christopher Robin verbally abuses Winnie the Pooh and like yells at him and tells him he's stupid and stuff.
Oh man.
And I was like on the floor crying.
In the fetal position.
It's intense.
And the one he's probably like the two that are most notable from him other than World War Z is Finding Neverland, which was a big Oscar buzz movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then Quantum of Solace, which is the hands down the worst of the new James Bond movies.
It's no bueno.
But yeah, so he's a semi-successful guy. He's not a bad director. I wouldn't say he's a fantastic guy either, but either way, he's there. He's directing this zombie movie with Brad Pitt.
What an odd director, though. His best movie is Christopher Robin,
which is again more recent. So before that, I think World War Z was the last one he had before, and then so it's a weird range. You got Bond, Brad, and World War Z, and then Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're moving on. Let's kind of jump right in to Brad, our guy, the main man himself.
The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Pitt.
Mr. Pitt, he plays Jerry Lane. He is
Jerry with the G, which is what are we doing? Also, his wife's name is Karen, and it's spelled with an I instead of an E. Do these people not know how to spell?
I think it is an E.
No, it's the subtitles. It says Karen with an I.
I think your subtitles are wrong. I have got regular Karen.
Regular Karen?
What if your subtitles are just a guy like, Karen, typo, gotta keep it in. Just gotta
keep it in. I don't want to lose my job.
But Eric, let us tell us about Brad as you've seen him throughout the Pitt list here. Like, where is he for you right now in this?
How do you feel about him?
Zombie realm.
Oh man. So I actually had to kind of go back into some of these Brad Pitt films and get a better understanding of who he is, because I think if you watch him in this movie, it's not going to be like watching him in his other movies. I think he's very one-dimensional in these movies, and I think if you look back at movies like Fight Club, where there's a lot more to the character, this one you're kind of like, oh, okay, this is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of dimensions to his character, but overall, kind of walking through, his movies, I think you can see the development there. But overall, I think he plays a pretty casual character in this movie.
Pretty overall. Casual. That's a good way to describe it. Just kind of casual.
Yeah.
So, have you been rewatching the movies with us as we've been talking about them, or you've been cherry picking?
I have been cherry picking. I tried to follow along, but then I got a little bit behind, and then I got hung up on the Ocean series and ended up watching 12 and 13.
Oh, they're good.
You can't blame me for that.
No, they're a lot of fun.
I think Ocean's 11 might be one of my favorite movies after watching that again.
Woo.
I'm gonna go out there on a limb and say it might be.
It's such a good movie. It's so underrated.
Yeah. And then I watched Inglourious Bastards. I watched this movie and a little film called Ad Astra. I've heard that Mr. Foster is a fan.
We'll find out.
Don't be coy, Daniel.
We'll find out if I'm in love with that movie or not. We'll find out.
I don't know.
We'll find out if I have a tattoo of that movie. We'll find out. So what did you think about Bastards, Inglourious Bastards?
We're just gonna go through the whole.
Yeah. I just want some Eric thoughts.
What did I think? I think overall that was a good movie. I mean, Quentin Tarantino. I did not really like his character. Okay. I think that he did I think he did an okay job acting. I didn't really like the whole accent thing. That really threw me off. I think if he didn't have the accent, I think that I would have liked his character more. I think I see that was part of his kind of ego in over the topness of the role, but I wasn't a huge fan of his character.
All right. It's okay to be wrong. It's all right. Why did we bring him on again?
You need to change that background again for when you've got sassy comments.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Oh, sassy Brad. Here's sassy Brad. And then I go back to my boy, the Sandman and the Pitster. Wes, do you mind if I jump in here and talk about Mr. Pitt?
Go for it.
Okay.
Talk about him.
I do not like this performance one bit at all. It's so wooden. It's like the whole movie can be encapsulated in him reacting, going. It's just like
Daniel. For everyone listening, Daniel's making very confused looks around the screen.
Like it's just like there's nothing charismatic about Brad in this, which is fine. I understand. You could make that case for Moneyball that he's, not cool, quote unquote. But he is cool. You know what I mean, though. Yeah. But like, not every Brad Pitt has to be a Rusty Ryan's my point. But like,
there's only one. There's only one Brad that's Rusty Ryan, and it's Rusty Ryan. No one's that cool.
That's true. That's true. No, I just find it incredibly wooden, and I don't buy the chemistry between him and Karen one bit whatsoever. Or the kids. It's like, I don't know, the first scene, he's laying in bed, they jump on him, make pancakes. Oh, I don't want to get up. It's like, okay, you wrote this script in like 30 minutes. I don't know. It's just something about it just seems so plain, and it's not good. It's not my Brad.
There is something I will say, like I'm not speaking really to the performance, the script, like casual is a good way to describe it. I don't really have a problem with that intro scene that much. The way the movie opens, I will say, is fantastic. They don't waste any time. They're like family, breakfast time.
They don't.
You hear something on the TV about martial law. She's like, Daddy, what's martial law? He's like, shut up and eat your breakfast. And then, but that'd be me if I'm like stress cooking pancakes. Like, what?
It's 6:30 in the morning. I don't have time for these questions.
That's another thing. Just like, I feel like for this year alone, we need to put a disclaimer at the top of this episode. Like, there's going to be some buzz trigger words here, including outbreak, virus or viral spread, lockdown, all these words that are like, we might like go back into like, like March time frame if people start listening to this now, because
that is
kind of freaky.
If you watch the opening scene, where they're kind of going into each letter of World War Z, and they're going through all those newsreels. In each one, it's like they both take different sides. It's like you have the scientist who's like, this is so serious. And then there's a politician who's like, oh, it's way overblown. And I think that was very interesting to watch that, which came out in 2013, and to be like, well, fast forward, not much has changed. So that was a pretty interesting scene when you look at that.
That was one thing, back to Brad, that he was like, his most interesting point was like he's making this movie for his kids, but his biggest like point of interest in the film was the geopolitical like aspect of a zombie outbreak. And so I just find that interesting, like making this for your kids, and you're like, I got to teach them about this, which is important. And we're not getting political on the Bagel Boys show here, but I mean, if you got caught with your pants down during the zombie apocalypse, I mean,
was that a scene I missed?
Just people like, it's all fake. They just get run over. They just get sideswiped. How it starts out, I like that it starts out with just there's kind of pandemonium. There's just a traffic jam, and then just stuff just starts blowing up around them. And you don't really see any zombies until late, like into that scene a few minutes in.
The side view mirror gets smashed, and I jumped. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Something happened. Yeah.
That was a good scene. A good opening.
Guy on the bike gets run over by like a dumpster truck.
Yep.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier the counting Eric. That's probably, I like that aspect about Brad's character. It makes him seem smart without being arrogant, because we don't know too much about his character. We learn a little bit as the movie goes, but it's kind of letting us know in his head, like he's trying to notice as like, which is a super creepy scene, by the way, where the kids' toys like, let's count the school buses or whatever. And it's like 1, 2, and he's just counting those seconds as he watches someone get bit. And he's like, okay, 12 seconds to zombie mode.
Yep.
I think that's a really cool scene. And it kind of emphasizes how he's like, again, just not a soldier necessarily, but kind of, but not a scientist, but kind of. And so that's the thing. I feel like they should have tried to pick a lane, because he's not inadequate. Like he knows what to do, right, guys? Like but he's not an everyman. He's an important figure in the movie.
But part of me thinks the only reason why you're led to believe that is because he's Brad Pitt. Like, I feel like the story does not really, you're like, oh, he's cool, he can do this. But
he's Jerry Lane.
He's Jerry Lane.
Well, you're right, Daniel, because the movie doesn't really have much bones without him. Because I feel like when you're like, hey, have you seen that movie World War Z? People are kind of like, I think with Brad Pitt. Oh yeah, I've seen that. And it's like he makes the movie. So it's definitely, you can't have, it doesn't really stand alone on its own.
Yeah.
I'd give him, just to start this off, I'll give him on the ranking of the Pitt tier list here of Brad's performances. At the very bottom, we've got the Pitts, and then you got Bad Brad, then you got Tad Brad, then you've got Rad Brad, and then you've got Brad to the Bone, which is the pinnacle of Pitt performance. I want to give him Tad Brad, because I don't think he's terrible, but I am confused reading that consensus saying, like, with a great performance from Brad Pitt, I don't think I would call it a great performance. I don't think it's completely his fault, because a lot of the characterization is, you got to kind of dig a little bit for it. And just judging about what I know from the source material, again, not comparing the two, but I felt like there was a lot of opportunities, because we've seen Brad do great things when he's a part of a family, but also when he's a man on a mission. And he's both of those things here. He is a family man and a man on a mission, and it's still not super emotional with him. He just kind of goes from spot to spot. And I care, but not a whole lot. But like you did say, Eric, the movie, if you remove Brad from the movie, I'm not saying that another actor could have done better or worse. It's just, you remember the movie because of Brad. So I don't want to go Pitts or Bad. It's Tad Brad today.
I'm gonna give him Bad Brad. Sorry.
I thought you were gonna give him the Pitts. So
no, it's not the Pitts. It's just, to me too, I don't really buy Brad Pitt in like a action. I don't know. He's good in very specific types of action movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he can be a very suave, smooth spy, like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I can buy him as that. I could buy him as, the Cliff Booth kind of, tough, beat him up kind of guy. But to me, this seemed more like a Tom Cruise role. I was watching it thinking, like, I could see Tom Cruise doing this, but
I could see, to be fair though, we could see Tom Cruise doing anything.
No, not true. Not anything. But like, to me, I don't think this is kind of the right role for Brad. It's a Bad Brad for me.
Oh. Okay. It was for his kids, Daniel.
Yeah, I don't get that
boys.
at all.
And
for
the
boys.
Whatever other kids he has.
He's got about 8 adopted kids. It's something crazy. So
I will also give him a Tad Brad. I think if you guys kind of joked about Dad Brad for
we weren't joking. He is a dad in this name.
100% serious.
A Dad Brad for Moneyball. So I would put him at Dad Brad, which I think would be in between maybe Tad Brad and Rad Brad maybe in there, because he's still a cool dad. He still has like all this experience.
Oh, he's a cool dad, all right.
But he's not. The character just isn't there. So one thing that I didn't like is that there's not a lot of character support in this movie. It's mainly just him. And if it's gonna be just him, we need more development. Like they never talk about what he did. He even referenced that line. He says, "You know what I used to do, right?"
Yeah, exactly.
They're not safe. And we're like, "What did you do?"
Yeah.
We really want to know.
I know. If it's 2 hours in the movie and I'm still confused about why he's qualified for the job, something's wrong. Right. I'm finishing it like, why him?
Yeah, definitely. So I think there just needed to be more development in his character if he's going to be the sole focal point. But I think he had some merits for, being able to kind of be the dad and the man on the mission, but it just didn't work super well.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of alluded to it, Eric. Let's jump right into supporting distracting now. Because, there we go. There's a lot of characters in the movie, but no one gets it's not that they're written poorly. They're just not written at all. His wife.
They're non-existent.
We talked about Karen earlier. Marielle Anos is the name of the actress who plays his wife. And she's the next, I guess, most starring role in the movie as far as lines and stuff go, next to maybe the scientist guy. But she, other than a few phone calls, she's just kind of sitting in the boat, and then they get rid of the family, and you're just kind of I guess they're gone now. What happens to them? I want to know what happens to the family. And I know this was supposed to be, as most movies are, a part of a trilogy that never happened. This movie doesn't really end too open-ended. Just there's some kind of questions. You can have it as a standalone, I think, but there's a lot of... Yeah, we'll get into the ending later, but there's her. So I look at this list here. If there's others you guys want to point out, go for it. The one that jumps out to me the most is the parrot jumper. He's just credited as parrot jumper, and it's Matthew Fox.
Oh yeah.
He was the one who was written out of the movie the most. He originally had a much bigger role, and if you look at it just from an actor standpoint, he was on Lost. He was the biggest kind of actor in the movie other than Brad at the time, and he has 5 lines in the movie.
Yeah,
kind of shows up, saves them, says a few words, and then dips out of the movie.
I'm a big fan of his too. I love his character on Lost, and I'm like, my boy Jack got screwed over.
Yeah, big time.
Well, and even I think we agree that there's really not many supporting characters, but I think there's even some that do a disservice to the timeline, and this is the character. He's Speaks, I guess is his name, but he's the guy that's in jail inside the military compound.
Yeah,
that whole scene, I had to watch that a couple of times to understand it. It really throws you off and makes you think that the story is going in a different way. The story doesn't add any value, and I think it kind of confuses the people watching. So I don't know. It's just a really random scene in there where he's talking about selling guns to North Korea, and you're like, wait, is something else going on here? And then turns into a lead somehow. It's just really confusing.
Yeah, you're talking about James Dale. He's also another. He's been in several things. He was he was in Iron Man 3. He was in The Departed. He was in a few other things. Eric's favorite movie, The Lone Ranger. He was in that.
Is that really your favorite movie?
No, but
is that in
Wes? Did you and I watch that or something?
No, it wasn't me. I heard you talk about it. You Eric likes to watch movies, but Eric doesn't ever usually lead a conversation so I watched this movie. But there was a time he called me up and he was like, dude, have you seen The Lone Ranger? And I was like, no. He's like, don't.
It's bad.
It's so long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Well, and to credit you, Wes, that's a good memory on that. I have liked watching movies a lot more, since the Bagel Boy podcast. But
Cool.
back in the day, I did not. There was no rhyme or reason to movies I watched, so that was definitely a random one. But very funny that you remember that.
Yes, they the other thing I want to bring up here is just something a fun tidbit I read about the movie, and this is just movies in general. And this is like, I won't get up on my soapbox. I'm just gonna like kind of throw this like a grenade and run away. But so the virus in like the script originally came from China, and it wasn't like a big deal. They weren't putting blame on it. They're just like passing, like, oh, it's from China, move along, and that was it. Movies do this all the freaking time where they're like, we can't upset China ever because of the box office, so they just shift the blame, if you will, to the Koreans, and they're like, that's fine, like as long as we don't upset China and their market, we're good to go.
Or Koreans,
right? But apparently you can. So just one of those things where it's like, interesting. It's another one. Add it to the tally of movies that change up their whole idea for some more money.
I think this, and Eric, you were hitting on this point about the side plot of visiting that prisoner and talking about, that's one thing I really don't understand about this movie, because I'm like, when I watch a zombie movie, really what makes the story interesting is survival, and just like, okay, you got Brad and his family, he's protecting them, and they're running through the hallway. Like, that's what people want to see. It's like, what? No one cares about how the virus started. That's not interesting really for anybody. Why?
I do. I raised my hand on screen here. I do. Because like I said earlier, it's not that I don't need to have a zombie-less movie, but that's very interesting to me, because most of the time it's just growl growl, bite bite, and that's it. No one ever wonders or cares to find a cure. With this one, they're like, we got to find patient zero, we got to do XYZ. Do they always execute it? They don't always execute it right, fair enough, but the concept behind it, how it affects things other than a bunch of people dying, to me it's like, okay, cool, so there's other things here other than just mindless killing in action.
I'm kind of with both of you, because for me, there has to be the substance of, there has to be a reason for what they're doing, or they're trying to accomplish this to save humanity or whatever. Like, I have to be involved in that plot intricacies, but there are a lot of kind of boring moments in the movie where it's like nothing's really happening. Like, they're driving in a car, they're in the plane, like all these times where you're kind of, that's like, I agree with you, Daniel, like that's when you're thinking, okay, where are all the zombie scenes? Like, where there's not like a ton of close up with the zombies. It's a lot of like hundreds chasing. It's a lot of chases and stuff. So
but I'm a dum-dum, because I like this, I don't know, like Friday the 13th. I want to see people getting slashed, and I don't know, like, to me, like the zombie genre, it's like, it is what it is, and it's kind of, when you stop and think about it, it's a dumb concept anyway, so make it dumb for me. I don't know.
The real world applications of it, that's just, it's different. So I'm a sucker for when things try to be different, but the one, it doesn't always execute it well. And there's one, we're still kind of talking about the cast. There's one guy I just feel like so bad for. It's Isles Gable as Andrew, and he's like the young kind of hip scientist. Like, he's our guy. For some reason, Brad's taking him. They have to land at that jail, like Eric was talking about, and refuel. And the dude, like, any other death by accident, I think I would have been okay with. But for some reason, it's kind of rainy. They're outside. Zombies start running. They start shooting. The dude like turns back, gets scared, falls, trips, and lands with the gun in his hand in such a way that he puts the gun up to his head, falls, and shoots himself in the head. It's very shocking. But
Sucks to suck.
And it's like, well, I guess he's gone, which is fine. I'm all about for surprising deaths, but I'm like, all right.
Well, I think also they didn't really give him much development. So when it happened, you're like, all right, well, they'll just find another way out of this because he wasn't that important. When I think they should have really stressed the importance of that character, because they even say he's our only hope or something like that. So but I don't. They just like kill him right away.
I feel like he should have been either he or she, like the soldier at the end, who I say at the end, it's not really at the end, but she's also in the movie for probably about 30 minutes. I think, say again, it's her name, who gets her hand cut off. Brad cuts off her hand and saves her. Either one of them should have been towards the beginning, both of them, and then one of them dies or one of them gets maimed. That way they're both throughout, and then something happens with either one. But you have that guy, we build him up for at least, he's in the movie for a solid 25 minutes, I think, and then kills himself. And then you have the other lady
on accident
with a gun to his head, trips. Very unfortunate. And then you have the other lady who survives, but she gets her hand cut off. It's like you either should combine those characters or have both of them. Someone like you made the point earlier, Eric, where it's like there's not many bad performances in the movie, but there's no one to like help Brad out. He's just kind of on his own, like this world journey by himself. So when people die around him, you're kind of like, oh, well, at least Brad's still here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to ask you guys, what did you think of the scene where they're leaving that military base and they're on the bikes?
Love it. Oh, dude. What? I love that scene.
Daniel, thoughts?
Nah. I didn't like it. I don't know.
I say love, but like the zombie sequences in the movie. So there's this one. We'll talk about the next one in a second. But opening scene is great. This one is like such a weird kind of concept where like we have to get to the plane. The scene itself, I think, as a whole, the whole thing, like you said earlier, is kind of distracting and bad and is out of place. But they're planning to get back to the plane to refuel it, and they're on bikes and they're just going around. I think that's kind of cool, where it's like we can't run because they'll hear us, but we can bike and it's a little bit quieter until someone's cell phone goes off, which is like, guys, come on, what's going on here?
Yeah. Well, and that's funny. I know that we'll have a chance for quotes, but I think that the sergeant, I think the two best quotes from the movie come out in this scene. He says, the Zeke, he calls them, are biting everything like fat kids love Twix.
Yeah.
Forgot about that one. Yep.
Yeah.
And he says, he's also like telling them to like work hard. He's like, the spine is divine. Those knees, they work just fine. Like he's got all these like little quotes to throw out to the team or whatever. So yeah. That was pretty funny.
And that's another guy. We talked about James Dale. He also dies in that scene. And we get like we don't give a care about him either. Like he gets bitten, he has to kill himself. And it's like, well, dang, guess he's gone too.
R.I.P. I was digging the airplane scene. I'll give it that. I liked that whole situation because that's something I had never seen before, like a zombie outbreak on an airplane. I've seen Train to Busan. I've seen it on a train. Never seen it on a plane.
So that's so weird, Daniel, because now we're like flop. That's the one scene in the movie of zombies that I don't like, is at the bottom for me. And it's just because, so opening scene, I think is great. It's very ominous. The bike scene, albeit like the whole as a story element, isn't great. I just thought it was an interesting approach, literally. Then you have the Jerusalem scene, which we'll talk about next, which is the most like famous part of the movie, I would say. But the plane sequence, they're on that plane for a good bit. These zombies have been known to be violent, aggressive. This one, I don't even want to say he's sneaky. How did he get trapped in a plane closet without anyone knowing?
I didn't say it was well written.
I know. I said
it was fun.
Thing. Eric, maybe you could help me figure this out. Like, how do you think that zombie got anywhere near the plane? Maybe it was a person. Maybe I take it back. Maybe that's what it was. A person got bit. But 12 seconds? I don't know. Could someone make it?
No, it really doesn't make sense because it was the only zombie on. I think it was locked in the bathroom.
Okay, yeah.
It still doesn't make sense because they would have known that before taking off. There is some air there.
But there's no noise either. There's no banging on the door either.
Until like the stewardess like opens it and then she gets bit immediately. That's kind of freaky. I overall kind of like the scene. I like the whole thought of you're in a really contained space, and what are you gonna do to get out of it? The only thing I don't really like a whole lot of plane scenes in movies where people survive plane crashes, because it's just so unrealistic, especially the fact of him throwing a grenade into the plane. Like, I expect him to do so many different things there, but instead he throws a grenade into the plane. All the zombies get like pulled out due to like the atmospheric pressure. That part I get, but then he has enough strength to lock himself into a seat, and then it's just like, what's going on? Like, the more the scene goes on, you just get so confused as to what's happening. But I do like the overall concept. I enjoy the scene for what it is, and it's hairs like flying around.
It's dumb. It's very dumb, and it's not plausible. But it was the one part of the movie where I was having fun.
I like their idea of like, okay, they communicate everyone in first class or up close. Like, they all communicate like, hey, we're going to take our luggage in these doorless frames here just to stack it. And I love how there's just one guy who like, they're so close. I do like that when they get so close and he just fumbles his suitcase, it falls. And like, I love his facial reaction. Like, I wish there was a way to like convey that through potent quotables, because that would be my thing, is that guy drops the suitcase, the zombie just like does one of those and like looks up and jars up at him.
Do that again, please.
One more time.
One more time.
Does one of these.
Oh, that's good.
And
that's good.
The dude is just like, the look on the guy's face that dropped the suitcase and alerted the zombies just has that like self-conscious look, like, oh, I'm that guy. Like, he knows immediately what he's done. I thought that was good. And then they crash the plane.
I liked the scene where they're in the grocery store. And I laughed at the beginning because the cops like starts charging towards him and he puts his hands up and he just keeps running. But because I'd forgotten that twist and he keeps running, and I was thinking, Brad, there's no way in the world this cop is after you right now. Look around, buddy. This is fun.
I think it does show that part. That is another part I like, just because it shows like it's showing that that loosening of the grasp of like the reality of the situation, because he does just kill a guy. Which we're not, again, we don't know anything about his character, so we don't know if he's ever killed before, but by his aim, I'm assuming that he's definitely killed
he's done it.
A person before. And he immediately surrenders and the cop doesn't care. But
he killed somebody who said he didn't like his pancakes, probably.
Well, that's a funny scene as well, because he parks the RV like right in front of the doors, and then they come back out and he's like, "Oh man, it's gone." I'm like, "Yeah, you parked in front."
I know.
Not even in the
he left the keys in the ignition.
Left the door open, like with a sign that says, "Please take full tank" or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, just to wrap up this weird category, supporting, distracting, I'll say there's in no way that they could be supporting, not necessarily because they're bad, they're just not present. They've kind of left Brad alone to do his thing in this movie. So distracting or absent, I'll mark them as absent for this episode.
I mean, I legitimately am taking I'm having trouble picturing some of their faces because I just completely forgot, because they're so useless to the movie. I'm like, oh, yeah, him. What do you guys think about that speech the scientist makes about Mother Nature?
The scientist that trips and kills himself with a gun?
Yeah,
that guy?
him.
Yeah. Well, I would have cared if he stayed alive to live out his little fantasy there for more than 2 seconds, but
I feel like that scene's supposed to be so deep and meaningful and have all this nuance ideas to it, but you're just like, what?
Who's
Mother
this
Nature
guy?
Is a serial killer and she leaves breadcrumbs trying to get caught. I'm like, what? I don't know. I thought it was really silly.
That was gonna be Eric had mine, but that's my other we might have to skip the section, but that was my other potent quotable, is that guy's speech, because he does go on for a bit.
He goes on for so long, and Brad's like, all right.
You think it's gonna end, and then he just keeps going.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where you're trying to convey like this cockiness a little bit, and I get that, but like you said, Eric, it felt like it was trying to land a bit more, and it just kind of overshoots, much like the guy did when he was trying to kill a zombie. Back to Brad. What's the do? Was he snacking? Also, was he a snack? What's the do? Daniel is famously against Brad with long hair in this miniseries. So Daniel, I want you to talk to us first about what was the hair too long? What was going on in your brain?
Here's what was bugging me, Wes. Thank you for asking.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the long hair when it's natural. Okay, this isn't a wig. This is natural, Brad. Okay. So I'm digging that. Why is he tucking it behind the ears? Don't tuck. I don't like to tuck.
Just let it fly.
Let it flow, my man. So
let it L'Oreal.
It's a bad do for me. It's a bad do for me. Don't tuck. Just let it flow.
I feel like with how kind of tactical he is eventually, I don't get why he didn't cut it. That would be my move. Like if I had long hair and zombies start running around, it's buzz cut right away. No one's grabbing my hair. Like it's not happening. So
well, I was going to mention that if you have a military background, how many like ex-Marines do you know that are rocking like almost shoulder-length hair? Basically zero. He would definitely have like a rusty hairstyle going on if he was. I feel like if he had military background, I like the do.
There we go.
You like the do.
All right.
He likes the do.
You didn't mind the tuck?
It's kind of got the messy going on, but it's still kind of casual and cool. I like it.
I think he could have rocked a man bun. I think he could have pulled it off.
This was pre-man bun though. I think it was too soon. I don't think the world could have handled Brad Pitt man bun back in 2013.
Oh, a pit bun?
The pit bun. That's a different section.
His buns. What do you guys think about those buns?
That's a different miniseries. Was he a snack though? I feel like this is like salt and pepper Brad we're getting into now. Like we talked about him showing his age a few episodes ago. Obviously it's more present here, but I think he kind of pulls off the look. Like he's not unattractive. And that's the thing, like long hair, you got kind of like a patchy facial hair kind of thing going on. If you apply both of those things to like 90% of males on Earth, it automatically eliminates them from the snack category. Brad is still attractive with both of those things, so I feel like he automatically has to be a snack, because even for people who aren't into that, could see it as a disadvantage, he still kind of overcomes that.
Yeah. What was he snacking on? He was eating pancakes.
What was he snacking, or what was he sipping on? So I alluded to my big pet peeve earlier on in the movie on rewatch back when it came out on DVD and I rented it. This was it for me back in whatever time frame of 2013, maybe early 2014 when it came out and rented the movie. I was very big against, because Man of Steel also came out around that time, also in 2013. And that movie had a ton of product placement in the movie. And Man of Steel pissed me off so much with how much product placement they had in the movie, because one, if it's in the movie, like I get if you're trying to get your movie made, but when it's a superhero movie about Superman, you have an established brand there. You don't need product placement. I don't need to see Superman shopping and flying through Sears and, punching someone into an IHOP. I don't need it. So at that point, Wesley is already a little bit peeved. And so the audacity of this movie at the climax, the pinnacle, and I understand they had to reshoot it. And so that's why it sticks out like a sore thumb, because this originally wasn't a part of the movie. Brad's in a hospital wing kind of science lab. And is trying to distract the zombies at one point to get past them, but not really. And we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah.
He's trying to draw the attention. So he opens up this pop machine, and one thing right away, if you're going to do it, make it accurate. Throw a few different ones in there. It's all Pepsi. That's the only cans you see roll out of this machine. And Brad just has to kind of get up close to the camera, give him a little, just pop that bad boy open, just drink it, logo facing out and everything. It's like Pepsi, like a Pepsi ad at the end of the zombie movie. When the rest of the movie, there's not anything.
He may as well have gone,
yeah, I was waiting
for
nice
Pepsi, do the trick. It's just like, dude,
I wanted it. He was like,
it's a full-on commercial.
I felt like it was Peyton Manning at the end of that Super Bowl where he's like, I'm going to go home and drink some Bud Light and eat some Papa John's or whatever he said.
Yeah.
And I was like, why?
It's a full-on commercial right in the middle of the movie.
It is. Well, and that's after he kicks the Mountain Dew.
Yes. Yes.
So
that's true.
He accidentally kicks the Mountain Dew and you see it rolling. And it's like, it's so obvious. It's that green and red lettering just spinning across the floor, and you're just waiting to see if like the zombies notice.
Both Pepsi brand, yeah? They're both Pepsi brand.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I thought so.
And then the
oops, I accidentally kicked a Mountain Dew.
So yeah, was he snacking? I mean, I don't know how many millions of dollars Pepsi gave them, but he was sipping, but not really snacking.
Even the pancake scene, I did not see him actually eat anything. Whereas in some of his other movies, he's like chewing on something while talking.
Oh yeah.
He was like zero for that. And I was kind of waiting for when he was gonna, pop something in while he was driving or.
Yeah. I gotta say one quick thing about why I gave him the bad Brad. This guy doesn't like dogs because the daughter says they want a dog, and he goes, "How about a toy puppy?"
Yeah.
Shut up, Brad! You get your daughter a dog. You hear me? That made me mad. Get them a dog.
I mean, I feel like in general it wouldn't have helped them out, but if he had a little dog traveling sidekick throughout the movie, it wouldn't make any sense. But could have pulled on those heartstrings a little bit more.
Yeah, the dog would have died.
Is had a dog that had puppies, and then that dog is the dog in I Am Legend, and then they just add it all together.
R.I.P. Samantha from I Am Legend.
It's too soon for me to talk about that.
Daniel logs off, so you just hear tears in the background, crying, sobbing. Yeah, I mean, let's.
This didn't work out. Sorry.
Oh well, you know what? It's all right.
Didn't work out.
We're down to the nitty gritty here. We're down to the slim pickings of this post-apocalyptic world that Brad's living in here. So final thoughts, final bagels. Rewatchable scale, and then we'll try to rank it on the Pitt list.
I didn't say my potent quotable.
Oh, yes, go right ahead.
I just got one.
Yep.
The president dead.
Yeah.
There's the line.
Says the president's dead.
President's dead. That's what I remembered from it. All right. Yeah.
Which I feel like more
interesting. Where they're taking the Declaration of Independence onto the boat and all these other artifacts.
It's not the time.
Yeah, they're taking all that stuff from the White House, I guess DC, and they're putting it on the boat they're on, and the destroyer. And then I was just thinking, man, that would be a perfect time to steal the Declaration of Independence.
You see Nick Cage in the water,
Riley, it's our turn to strike.
We have to see. National Treasure would be about Nick Cage starting the zombie outbreak, so that way he can get his hands on more documents from American history, and then just kind of taking a shot at all of them. He'd steal the boat.
Yeah.
But yeah, good quote,
Good quote there,
good
Daniel.
tidbit from Eric. Everyone's doing a great job.
Hey, thanks.
This is a great time from everyone. Daniel, do you want to give it bagels or do you want Eric to go first? I don't know why I asked you.
Let me go because I know mine, and Daniel might sway my thoughts. So I'm
okay.
gonna.
But Eric, pull that trigger, Eric.
Go for it.
Fresh. One question.
Yep.
I'll say my bagels and then I'll ask the question. I'm gonna give it 7.5 bagels.
All right.
I think after watching it a couple times, I'll put it up there. Maybe too high. I'll say that it could be a little on the high end.
Hey, the bagels.
I didn't want to
just
gog on it too much, but after kind of reading how well this movie did, I think it's very hard to view this movie in the lens of 2020 because we've been inundated with so many zombie movies. It's not exciting anymore. But I think looking at this through a 2013 lens, that's where the 7.5 is coming from.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, do you guys think that this movie is part of the zombie canon?
If there was canon.
Is there a zombie canon?
Some say so.
Tell us.
Well, I don't know what else would be in it, but would it be
like just other zombie movies?
This movie has the gusto to be in the zombie canon.
I think okay, so we skipped over like my biggest positive of the movie, and it's the Jerusalem wall climbing kind of scene. It is Jerusalem, right?
Yes.
Okay. That is very ambitious. I like when movies just go for it, where it's like, why don't we create this new AI software to have these zombie characters climb on top of each other? And I did research this, that the developers never knew exactly how that would look or play out because everything was so random with like the individualized zombie like characters basically. So I thought that was really cool. I also like the idea of like the last like safe haven just like doing something stupid, because that's what, if this year has taught us anything, that's exactly what people would do, at least in America, where it's like, we're fine, we're safe here in this little bubble, it won't come in and get us. And then outside they're partying, literally partying inside with music and everything, and these zombies just start running into the wall, climbing on top of each other's bodies, and then eventually top. I think it's the best action scene. It's so good, makes the ending even worse because the ending is just weird in comparison. And it's the most tense part of the movie because you have to then deal with everything happening after the fact of like this last safe haven. And I do like it leading into that plane scene where they're like, we just got here, we need to get out now because we thought this place was safe. So big thumbs up for that scene alone gets me to a 5.8 bagels. If you take that scene out, we're dropping down probably a handful of bagels. So 5.8 bagels. I'm very like such middle of the road where like if you would have asked me the first time, I probably would have said exactly what you did, Eric, like a 7. If you asked me that second time around the time I was done with product placement, I would have been in like a 2 or a 3, but I'm a 5.6. It's hard, like you said, you hit the nail on the head, Eric. It's very hard to view this in 2021 because the amount of zombie movies, but also the amount of like just us in our minds probably being clouded and overrun with just thoughts of outbreaks and plagues and health concerns. It's like, I don't really want to deal with this in my spare time. And so, I'd say 5.6 because the characterization is pretty weak, but the movie does have a lot of interesting ideas. And so some of them come to fruition, some of them don't. So 5.6 for me.
All right, Daniel, let it rip.
I'm giving this thing a 3.7. Something else, and the reason why I'm so harsh on it too is I didn't pick on this yet, but the first opening scene of this movie is a montage of news clips, and it's got this very geopolitical, environmental kind of feel to it. It's like, oh, this movie's going to say something real deep. It really never does until the very last scene when all of a sudden they have another montage. It's the last scene. So it's like, it begins and ends with this, but nothing in the middle makes me, it doesn't really say anything. So I just like, what? Like, pick one. So it's 3.7 for me.
I think that's the lowest score you've ever given a movie that we've talked about so far on the show, yeah?
I think so.
Is it?
Eric knows. He's got like
Eric
he's got a
knows.
list. I don't think you've ever
Yeah.
gone below a 4 before, Daniel.
Yeah. I guess not. Yeah.
Wow. Not a fan.
Okay, but when ranking this, well, I don't want to jump ahead, but
no, go right ahead.
Didn't rank Benjamin Button very high. Do you think this movie is worse than that movie?
I like Benjamin Button much better, but that's personal preference. I don't know.
You said
let's
you said you fell asleep during it, or was that your dad?
My dad fell asleep through that one. Okay. Benjamin Button's not a favorite, but I enjoy it quite a bit more than this.
Okay.
Before we rank it, let's do a rewatchable scale. This one, I've used this one a lot in the past, but this one's 100% if it's on, because it's like, oh, here's the bike scene. Oh, it's the opening scene. Oh, it's the plane or the wall scene. It has a lot of like cool set piece kind of scenes that I could see people like getting drawn into it, or if they're on Netflix and trying to watch it, or wherever you can watch it on streaming. Yeah, it's if it's on. I wouldn't say it's seek it out or stab my eyes or what's the mood and everything. So yeah, if it's on, World War Z.
Stab my eyes sounds so harsh, but I'd never rewatched this probably.
There you go.
I'll just probably give it that.
Trigger. It's okay.
Yeah, I would say if it's on, it's really one of those movies you can watch once and never watch again.
Which again brings into the whole like the gross it made. It made a lot.
Yeah.
Right, and that's why I think you have to like, you either have to evaluate it by looking at it about like what would this movie have been like in 2013, or look at it through 2020. And I think if you look at it in the present, it's not worth rewatching.
That's one of those things, watching trends come and go, because another one that was big in this time frame was like young adult novels being transferred. And I know like Hunger Games was super successful. Maze Runner was pretty successful mostly. And then there's always the one of those trends that like flies a little too close to the sun or comes in right at the end. And I remember for young adult, that was Divergent, where it's like the first two movies where it did okay. And then like the third or fourth, just like whatever happened to those, like nobody knows, because Harry Potter was like the best example. And then you've got like Hunger Games, I think, below that. Then there's Maze Runner. And then there's Divergent. And somewhere in there, I'm not speaking to quality, I'm just speaking to how they were received and how much they made. I know in there Twilight's obviously somewhere in the middle, but yeah. Trends, they're interesting.
Trends.
Can I tell a really quick funny story? Story time with Daniel?
Yeah, funny story, and then we got to rank it.
Okay, I'll be really quick.
Dude, do you want... Yeah, go ahead and tell your story. Do it.
You mentioned Divergent. Have I told this story on an episode?
I don't think so.
Shane and I went and saw Divergent when it came out at the Dollar theaters, and we walked in the theater. We sit down, and I was like, I thought this movie starts at 3. It's 3:15. It hasn't started yet. Like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden, the lights go down, and then you see Happy Madison Productions for a split set. Eric, that's Adam Sandler's production studio.
Okay, thank you. That's for the
no.
There might be a few listeners out there who might not know that. I'm just
but I was just like, wait, what? We were in the wrong theater. We were about to see Blended. Anyway, that's what I think of every time I hear Divergent. Rank them.
That makes you. I want to dive into them more. Like, I wish you would have like either missed that somehow or like gotten in. Like, how far into the movie would you have gone? Like, this isn't screaming to me like some sort of like YA novel thing. Adam Sandler's here.
Yeah. That's fine.
Let's
ranking. So right now, as it stands, dear God help me, because I'm trying to keep track, but we've got...
I'm relying on you.
Ocean's 11, number 1. Then we've got Inglourious Basterds, number 2. Moneyball at number 3. Fight Club at number 4. Burn After Reading is 5. Snatch is 6. Benjamin Button is 7. Troy is 8.
So I want to put World War Z right at the bottom.
You want it at the bottom.
Yeah.
I don't think it should go below Troy.
No, oh, Wes, things are happening in Troy. Okay, look behind me.
I see him. He's staring into my soul. Daniel's put up a picture of Achilles and Troy. And I've
He
just got to
is.
look back and I've got to say, I spent an hour and 40 minutes on my life watching World War Z. And I
Mhm.
had a decent time. And by the box office, other people would probably say the same. I'm looking at Troy. I'm not saying people didn't enjoy Troy, but I spent 3 hours and 15 minutes of my life on Troy. And most of that movie could have just been compiled into like cool YouTube clips, and that's it. I'm sorry.
Think of all the funny quotes from Troy. Think of all the
There are.
laughs. Think of all the
There are, but
joyous moments we
I'm
had.
not gonna watch it
No,
again.
this movie's far superior than World War
Eric,
Z.
how I feel like just based off of Eric's bagels, it has to be number 8, and Troy gets bumped down to 9. Because I would even prefer this movie to Benjamin Button. Just because,
What?
yeah,
I would bump it up just a little. And here's what I'm going off of, because
yeah,
I haven't necessarily seen all the Pit List movies, although
that's
I'm
okay.
working on it. But just from listening to the podcast and hearing your take on it, I
Yeah,
had no interest in watching Benjamin Button because
that's
you guys
perfect.
were just like, they're
Yeah.
basically, you guys were like, don't watch it. And the same with Troy. So that's why I would just bump it up 2 spots, because I feel like overall, if I was listening, I would be more interested to watch this movie just because there's a lot of scenes that we've talked about that I think would be very interesting to watch. Whereas
Okay.
the other movies, there was really nothing exciting that was like, oh, why would I watch it? It doesn't seem to have much value.
So
That's
we'll kind of we'll split it right down the middle. Eric would want it above both Troy and Benji Butts. You want it at the very bottom. I think we'll just sandwich it right in the middle. We'll have Troy at the very bottom, then World War Z, and then Benji Butts. What's going to get interesting here in a couple of weeks is really, yeah. I'll just say this. Try not to be too upfront, but the list is going to be 12 movies long, but it's not necessarily like, oh, 1 through 4 are great, 4 through 8 are okay, and then 8 through 12 are terrible. It's really not. You could probably find, like we said about Troy and what Daniel was saying, you could find enjoyment in pretty much any of these movies, but I'd say
Yeah.
at least I want to say 8 movies of the 12 are gonna have like 6 or above on average bagels. I don't know if someone's breaking that down out there, but would probably get a recommendation. So
I'm a sucker for silly movies over boring movies, so that's my only. But I will settle. We can put it above Troy.
all right, so it's at 8.
All right.
And Eric, you know what? Thank you for helping us out with that, but also thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, I appreciate being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure. I think the funny thing about being on the show, though, is I actually like listening to just you two banter. Just like having you two on the show, I always enjoy those episodes, even though guests are nice because they, I think it's just hard to get 3 people's opinions in on everything. But
yeah, I think we did a good job
to have been on the show. So thank you very much.
Eric.
So you're saying that you never want to come back?
Eric is like one of the most prepared guests, but also is anti-guest. Is that what I'm hearing? Like Eric, it's like, I hate guests, but thanks for having me on.
I like guests.
I hate that I'm here, but thanks anyway, I guess.
I'm a loyal fan, and I have the Big Boys show to thank for getting me more into movies. So
yeah,
that's I think all you could ask for.
Do you know who our potential guest is for next episode is?
No,
I won't say, but you don't know. Okay.
I don't know this.
Wes, you know.
I don't know.
I'm either having
our potential guest for next week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, never mind. Yes, I do.
What?
I remember now. I'm like looking through. It's because I have like this open here, and this is like everything Bagel Boys related as far as guests and schedules. And I was like, I don't have. I'm like glancing down, like, is this a joke? Is this a bit? I don't know who's coming.
No bits. But I'll just let everybody know we're doing our next movie is Fury.
Dude, Daniel got it. It's taken you 9 weeks.
I know, right?
But you finally got.
I don't have to ask this.
Knew what the next movie was.
Yeah, this is an interesting movie. I've only seen this once, so I'm excited to rewatch it. I don't really know how I feel about it because I watched it once. But
it's Brad is a military guy.
He is. Yeah, look at this.
Well, this will be a good take since we've seen Brad as a military guy a couple of times before. Yeah. So this will be interesting. Totally
different than Aldo Rainbow.
This is nice. I can actually watch this movie before the episode comes out because I'm gonna know it.
There we go.
Hey,
Eric, I'll just send you the rest of the list too because it's been too long. I should have done this. Also, if anyone else wants to, maybe we should do that. Maybe you should plan more ahead and release. Do you like the mystery, or would you, Eric, as our loyal fan, would you rather us post a list of everything we're talking about? Or like when it comes to a miniseries, or do you like the mystery of it?
I think I like the mystery.
Like the mystery, you say? We haven't said which two we're doing after Theory, right?
Eric,
have we?
We've alluded to it. If you're like being a sleuth about it and knowing the weird references we've made throughout the last 9 episodes, people will know. But
yeah.
We mentioned one in this episode already. Actually, we've mentioned both. So
Easter egg.
Right?
I think we have a little merch to throw out or something for
that. Eric, I'll find you something. I'll DoorDash you some bagels cross state lines.
Oh, do it.
I could do that. I bet I could figure that out.
I'm sure do it.
Eric, thank you so much for coming on. It's great.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Eric, you're the man.
Pleasure.
And thank you all again for listening to the show. It's been great. We've got 3 more coming, right? 4 more? 3 more. Yep. Counting is hard. Yeah. Here we go.
Yep.
So strap in. We're coming in on the home stretch, guys. So thanks again for being a part of the Bagel Boys show, the Pitt List. And thank you, Eric Dyer, for coming on the show. And I don't know what any other final
Is it glitching for you guys or just me?
Just you.
Eric's a matter of fact like, nope, we're not having any issues here on our end.